The Dance of Shadows in Shoenvant. The story opens in a stark contrast to the grandeur of Shoenvant Castle, with the quiet whispers of a town named Svalbard. Surrounded by the vast, untamed beauty of the Arctic wilderness, Svalbard is a place where secrets are as common as the northern lights that dance in its sky. And a woman haunted by a love so intense it led to a tragic betrayal finds refuge in the solitude of this frozen land. Her heart, a battleground of guilt and longing, beats to the rhythm of the icy winds that sweep through the streets. In the heart of Svalbard and meets Hilda, a woman whose warm smile and fiery spirit draw her into a world she thought she had left behind. Hilda, with her tales of a life imprisoned by tradition and duty, seems to understand Anne's pain in a way no one else can. Their bond forms quickly, like ice on a frozen lake, but beneath its surface, unspoken desires and expectations swirl like the murky waters beneath. Their relationship unfolds in the shadow of the castle, a place where whispers of love and deceit echo through its ancient halls. Hilda's visits to Anne's modest apartment become a haven for their shared desires, a sanctuary from the prying eyes of the small town. Yet the scent of Rita lingers in Anne's mind, a ghostly presence that no amount of Hilda's passion can fully exorcise. When the offer to move into Shoenvant Castle arises, Anne feels a shiver of both excitement and trepidation. The castle, a bastion of opulence and power, is a stark contrast to the simplicity she has embraced. Yet, the prospect of being with Hilda full-time is too tempting to resist. As she packs her meager belongings, she clutches a single photograph of Rita, a silent promise to the love she lost. The first night in the castle, and is awoken by a gentle knock. She opens the door to find Diane, Hilda's childhood friend, standing before her with a knowing smile. The air thickens with a tension that neither Hilda nor Anne could have anticipated. As the days turn to weeks and feels the noose of her past tightening around her neck, the echoes of Rita's love growing louder with each passing moment. The Dance of Shadows in Shoenvant unfolds, as Anne becomes a silent observer in a masquerade of passion and deceit. The castle walls seem to whisper secrets of their own, stories of love and loss that resonate with Anne's tumultuous heart. She tries to find solace in the company of Hilda and Diane, but the weight of her confession is too heavy to bear. One evening, as the three sit before a roaring fire in the grand library, Diane's hand brushes against Anne's, setting her heart racing. Hilda watches, her eyes gleaming with a hunger that sends a shiver down Anne's spine. "You can share me," she says, her voice a siren's call in the quiet room. "We can all find happiness together." But Anne knows that the dance they are about to embark on is fraught with danger, the shadows of her past ready to engulf her once more. Their union is a symphony of sighs and whispers, a dance of flesh and desire that seems to melt the very stones of the castle. Yet, as Anne's hands explore the curves of Diane's body, she can't help but feel the cold touch of betrayal. Each kiss, each caress, feels like a dagger in her soul, a silent scream of agony for the love she threw away. As the weeks pass, the dance becomes a routine, a performance for Hilda's amusement, and feels her spirit wither, the warmth of her love for Rita fading like embers in a dying fire. Yet, she clings to the hope that this masquerade can somehow fill the void in her heart. But the shadows of Shoenvant are relentless, and the echoes of Rita's laughter grow fainter with each passing day. The story is titled The Dance of Shadows in Shoenvant, a haunting tale of love, loss, and the lengths one will go to find peace amidst the frozen landscape of the heart. Anne's days at the castle became a blur of Hilda's whims and Diane's seductive embrace. The grandeur of Shoenvant Castle was a stark contrast to the simplicity of her former life in Svalbard, but the opulence brought no comfort, only a cold reminder of the stark reality of her situation. Each night, as the two women entwined themselves around her, Anne felt the icy grip of her past tightening. Her thoughts remained with Rita, the love she had lost and the guilt that consumed her. One evening, as they lay entangled in a heap of silken sheets, Hilda spoke of her father's upcoming birthday gala. "You'll both be by my side," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "You'll meet the most important people in the Faroe Islands." Anne's stomach twisted. The very idea of presenting herself as part of Hilda's world felt like a lie, a masquerade she no longer wished to maintain. The night of the gala approached, and Anne found herself dressed in a gown that seemed to weigh as heavily as her guilt. She walked into the grand ballroom, her eyes scanning the sea of unfamiliar faces. The air was thick with the scent of candle wax and the hum of polite conversation. She felt like a moth drawn to a flame, knowing she would only find pain in this world of glitz and glamour. As the music swelled and the guests took to the dance floor, and felt a hand on her shoulder, she turned to find Hilda's father, a stern man with piercing eyes staring at her. "You're not who I expected my daughter to bring home," he said, his voice low and gruff. "But I see the appeal. You're quite the exotic bird." And felt the weight of his gaze, the judgment in his words as palpable as the cold stone walls surrounding them. The conversation grew tense, and Anne realized she could no longer keep her secret buried beneath the ice of Svalbard. With trembling hands, she took a deep breath and told Hilda about the night she had killed Rita in a fit of passion and fear. The words hung in the air like the scent of blood, and Hilda's smile faltered. "Is this true?" she whispered, her eyes wide with shock. The music stopped, the laughter dying away as the three of them stood in the center of the ballroom. Anne's confession had pierced the veil of their deception, and the shadows of her past had finally caught up to her. Hilda's eyes searched hers, and for a brief moment, Anne saw the love she had hoped to rekindle. But it was too late. The damage had been done, and the illusion shattered like ice beneath their feet. With a sense of finality, Anne turned and left the castle, the winds of Svalbard howling in her ears as she made her way back to the town she had once called home. The bitterness of the cold was a balm to her soul, a reminder that she was still alive, still capable of feeling. Back in her small apartment, she found refuge in the solitude she had once craved. The echoes of Rita's love were all that remained, a ghostly presence that haunted her every waking moment. She knew she could never escape the shadow of her past, but she vowed to live her life with the dignity and honesty that her love for Rita had always deserved. The months that followed were a blur of tears and solitude. Anne threw herself into her work at the clothing store, her sewing machine a metronome that kept time with the beating of her broken heart. Yet, she found a strange comfort in the rhythm of the needle, the fabric of her creations becoming a tapestry of her pain and hope. One day, as the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, a letter arrived from Hilda. It was brief, but it contained the words Anne had longed to hear. "I understand. Forgive you. Maybe one day we can be friends." And clutched the letter to her chest, feeling a warmth spread through her that not even the Arctic chill could extinguish. The story of Anne and her dance of shadows in Shoenvant Castle became a whispered legend among the townsfolk of Svalbard. Some spoke of the haunting beauty of the woman who had loved so fiercely that she had killed her lover, only to find that love's echo in the arms of another. Others spoke of Hilda, the castle's lady whose passion had brought both joy and despair to the hearts of those she had claimed. The story grew with each telling, the lines between fact and fiction blurring like the edges of the northern lights. The dance of shadows in Shoenvant was born from the whispers of the townsfolk, a tale that grew in the darkness, nurtured by the cold winds that swept through the streets. It was a story of love and loss, of the lengths one would go to find peace in a heart frozen by guilt. In the quiet of her apartment, Anne heard the whispers of her name, the echoes of her past. Yet, she found solace in the rhythm of her sewing machine, the fabric of her creations weaving together the tapestry of her life. Her days grew longer, the nights colder, but with each stitch, she felt a semblance of control returning to her fingertips. The winter passed, and with it the first glimmers of spring. Anne's heart, once as frozen as the Arctic landscape, began to thaw. The letter from Hilda, a beacon of understanding in a sea of judgment, had offered her a glimmer of hope. Perhaps she thought she could find redemption, not in the arms of another, but in the quiet strength of her own resolve. The snow had barely melted from the cobblestone streets when Anne received an unexpected visitor. It was Hilda, her eyes filled with a determination that seemed to have been forged in the fires of their shared passion. "I want you to come back," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Dad's health is failing and I need you." And looked into Hilda's eyes, searching for the love she had once seen there. But what she found was something different, something more profound. It was the understanding that love could not be contained by the walls of a castle or the shackles of duty. It was a wild, untamed force that existed beyond the confines of societal expectations. With a heavy heart, she agreed to return to Shoenvant, not as a lover, but as a friend, ready to support Hilda through the storm that lay ahead. The castle, once a prison of shadows and secrets, now felt like a fortress of solace. The coldness of its stones had been warmed by the ghost of Rita's love, and Anne found she could breathe again. Together, the two women faced the trials of Hilda's father's final days. They held hands in the quiet halls, sharing stories of love and loss, their hearts beating in time with the ticking of the castle's ancient clocks. And when the old man finally passed, it was Anne who held Hilda as she wept, their bond stronger than the iciest of Svalbard's winters. In the wake of the patriarch's passing, Shoenvant Castle was no longer a prison but a place of rebirth. Hilda, now free from her father's iron rule, turned her attention to the town, eager to bring warmth and prosperity to the lives of its people. And her trusted confidant became her right hand, using her newfound skills to clothe the townsfolk in garments that brought joy and pride. The dance of shadows had come to an end, replaced by the warm embrace of friendship and purpose. The two women, once bound by the tumultuous tides of passion, now walked side by side, their hearts forever entwined by the love they had shared and lost. The whispers of the townsfolk grew into a chorus of admiration for the Lady of Shoenvant and her devoted companion. They saw in Anne a symbol of redemption, a woman who had faced her demons and emerged stronger for it. And in Hilda they saw a leader who loved them as they were, without the need for masks or masquerades. The dance of shadows in Shoenvant had become a story of healing, of finding peace in the most unlikely of places, and had learned that love could not be contained by the boundaries of life or death, that it was a force that transcended all. And Hilda had discovered that true power lay not in the walls of a castle, but in the hearts of the people she cared for. The two of them, now united in their shared experiences and the love they had found in each other, worked tirelessly for the town of Svalbard. The castle, once a symbol of their entangled desires, was now a bastion of hope and change. They turned the grand ballroom into a place where the townsfolk could gather, a place where love could bloom freely, unshackled by the weight of tradition and expectation. The townsfolk watched as Hilda and Anne grew closer, their bond unshakable despite the whispers that still lingered about their tumultuous past. Yet, in their eyes, Anne had become more than a symbol of redemption. She was the embodiment of a love that had conquered even the darkest of shadows. And so, the story of Anne and Hilda, once a tale of passion and betrayal, became the legend of the Phoenixes of Shoenvant. The phoenix, a creature of fire and rebirth, was a fitting symbol for the two women who had risen from the ashes of their former lives. Through their friendship, they had found the strength to face the world anew, their hearts aflame with the promise of a brighter tomorrow.